Okay, let's start. Oh, yeah.
Now the thing purple. That's not purple.
Okay, let's resume lesson. You guys managed to do the setup, right?
Yep.
You've done all the steps for the setup, correct? Okay, let's review what we left before your break. Okay, if you refer to the student notes, okay, the first section of the student note discuss about layout. So we already discussed about layout on what's the purpose of layout. Okay, the next one is on tag helpers. So let's look at that board. For tag helpers, what happened here is that you guys have identified the tag helpers. So far, how many unique tag helpers have you identified? You identified unique. Unique is how many? One is ASP controller given to you. 2, 3, 4. This one? No, same. 5. There's one more. 4.
Validation.
ESP 4.
ESP
4.
dash 4. Where is this?
Where will find it?
Where is this? Form, but where exactly which part? I need to know the exact label. Okay, you have one which is label, the other one is in input. Okay, and which file? Which view? create.cshtml. Okay, input, same. Okay, which one repeated? You have 6 now, you need 1. Which one do you have repeat? Which tag helper did you repeat? Controller. So you have ASP controller. You also have ASP controller here. Here, the reason you chose is because it's 2 different files. In fact, there's another one more. So you should have another one ASP controller. But the question is, what is the tag? So look at the slides that's given to you. Which one did you miss? This is from slide 10, right? So from slide 10, look at which one did you miss?
4.
Yeah, ESP4 is there. ESP controller. Both are formed. There's another one. Link. What is it? A. Which file is that? Index. Class, take note. So, yes, you identified all 6. However, there are some that's not unique. For example, in this case, you have ASP controller, you guys actually give 2, which is acceptable because you have 2 different locations, 2 different views. Okay, however, there's another one, okay, which Daniel mentioned that it's ASP controller and it's A. A means what? Link. Okay, and it's located at which view? Index. Okay, the other one that you guys miss is ASP4 and it's for both label and input. Okay, so these are tag helpers that we need to use for today. Any question at this point? Okay, so now let's look at model binding. Okay, model binding is important. Okay, just now during break, some of you did ask, is there quiz? The answer is yes, there is quiz, and yes, it will be tested on things like model binding. Okay, so let's look at model binding. Let's open the slide. Okay, so this morning, this is what you guys did on your own. The layout, Elias, sorry, thank you. Okay, so you read through layouts. Okay, you understand what's layout and discuss this part. And you also look at tag helpers. So in tag apples, you already identify all of this, okay? And you also identify where the location is. And if it's purple, this is what I mean by purple color, okay? So let's look at the tag apple first. So let's look at the tag apple in the part for links. So if you look at tag apple for links, here in slide 13, okay, we're in slide 13. In slide 13, they mentioned that for tag apples for link, so as highlighted in the box, okay, ASP controller, okay, equals to candidate, ASP action equals to display, ASP route ID is cdd.reg number. This is equivalent to this line of code. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So from this line of code, do you still remember where is your controller? Which one is your controller?
Candidate.
Candidate. Which one is your action?
Display.
Display. Do you see the match?
Yeah.
Do you see? So instead of typing this link, remember last year we all did this, right? We actually typed the whole URL. But now we are using tag apples. So in tag apples, we are using things like in A, HTML, okay, element in the link, we're going to use ASP controller. This will define what's this candidate now. Do you know what's candidate? Controller. ASP action, this is action. Where can you find this action? Where can you find this action? Display action in which controller? Candidate. Yes, we say candidate. Okay. So yes, you can see this display action, okay, being defined in candidate. And then they have another thing that's called ASP route ID. What is this thing? What's cdd.reg number? Register number for who?
Candidate.
For the candidate. However, what is being displayed?
The name.
The name. So this is in route ID. So as you can see, this is in your route ID. You are passing in the registration number. Okay, we are going to the display action, which is under candidate controller. However, we display the name. Okay, so that's for links. And we also look at tag helpers for forms. You have again your ASP controller and then your ASP action. These two line of code replace what code? Can you still remember? What is being replaced here?
The controller slash action.
We used to have what here? Form method equals to post. What is this two line of code? We replace what? What did we replace? Form what? Do you remember?
Form rule.
Form what?
Action result.
Yes. Yes, Marcus, what's the word?
Action result.
Yes, action. Okay, so form
How is it?
action. Okay, so instead of action equals to what? Normally we will put in action equals to what in this case?
Create.
We always define action followed by what? Colon slash. So we're saying that previously how we define things is form and then action equals to what? We use this as a reference. So slash, what's the first thing? Candidate. Because this is what? What's this thing?
The controller.
Controller. And then slash what?
Create.
Create. And this is what?
Action.
Action. So instead of writing this, we are replacing it with that. Any question? No. Okay, then subsequently, if you look at the bottom part here, okay, they mentioned that those two, ASP4, it actually automatically generates for you that line of code. Do you see that line of code that's written for you? So instead of typing all this line of code, okay, last time we have to use things like for. Okay, and then at the same time we have to use things like ID and name. So right now we just use ASP4. Any question? No. Okay, it's copy. So please take note, from now onwards we're going to use tag helpers for all your forms. Okay, we're not going to use the previous way of doing things, which is for ID and name. We're going to use tag helpers as ASP4. This is for forms. Next one, likewise for radio buttons. So you can read up and do the matching on your own. Again, check boxes, okay, and drop down list, okay. And the last part is ASP validation summary. In this case, it's under DIV, and it's at the bottom. So basically, what it does is, as you can see the word all, what does it do? Just by reading the tag, what do you think it does? What does it do? The ASP tag helper is what? ASP validation summary, and the value is all. What do you think this does? Which word helps you? Which one? What do you think this particular tag will help you to do? Check everything. Yes, what do you think is check everything?
Validation.
Yes, the word validation. So what it does is that it actually validates, and which one will it validate? Everything. What you say, everything?
All.
Yes, all. Okay. So with this tag helper, what it does is that it will check for everything to make sure that you would actually put in all the necessary information. So tag helper, okay?
So it replaces the check empty thing. Or is it a different one?
It's the same one, but this is from the server side checking. Okay? So yes, Andre asked, so does it replace? It is replacing, but it's only doing checking from server. You can also check from client side. So now let's move on to model binding. Okay? So again, for tag helper, you're going to use it later on. So as long as you understand where it's being used. The next one is model binding. This is also something different. Okay? So previously, what happened was that if you look at slide number 19, Kevin, slide 19. Okay, in slide 19. Okay, let's look at slide 19. Does this line of code look familiar? When do we use this code?
Form.
What's the form? To what? Yes, Sarah? Label. Is it label only?
To answer all space.
To what?
Trim the thing.
To what the thing is that?
To trim the input. Is it?
To get the input. Yes, so these are all your input. Okay? So as you can see, this is getting for input. You still remember, every time you have a page that requires input, you always use iForm collection. Now we're going to replace this. Okay? So instead of doing this whole line of codes, we're going to replace it in your action itself. As you can see, your action is add post, right? See that? Okay, and you expect an input, which in this case is what? iPhone file, photo, yes. So now we're going to add another model, strip. So all these thing becomes strip. Okay? This part, you all understand? Okay? So we're going to replace this. So when it replace, okay, at the same time there's another thing to look at, which is the C# attributes. So before I start with this, let's look at this part here. What's the difference? Can you guys open I will open for you guys the model code. Okay, you have done your setup. You should be able to see inside your controller. There will be your candidate controller. So this is your candidate controller. Okay, so previously what we did was we actually had all these, right, iForm collection form, but now it's been replaced with just this word, candidate CDD. Do you get it? Okay, and you don't see any iForm here. Okay, so from line 49 you don't see iForm collection because it's already inside candidate CDD. And where does this candidate CDD is being defined? Where is this? In the, where do you believe it has been defined?
Models.
Model. Okay, let's open up the model. So inside your model, what's the model name? Candidate. So let's look at your candidate model. So this is your model. Is it the same as your input? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So instead of having to define all this, okay, we actually create what we call as model, candidate model. So in the candidate model, we define all your different types of form inputs. So your title city in this case, but for your candidate will be something like this. Okay, and all this become your candidate model. And in your controller, you pass it as part of your parameter, candidate model. Any question?
No.
Okay, so this part okay? Slide 19 okay? So now let's move on to slide 20. In slide 20 here, they are showing you new things, what we call as declarative tags. So you have HTTP post, allow anonymous, and required. Okay, so moving on from here, they actually explain to you what's the difference between HTTP GET and HTTP post. Okay, so in HTTP GET, they mention things like to present a form to the user, whereas in HTTP post is to receive data from the same form. So looking at these two codes that is given to you in slide 21, if you look at slide 21, previously, how do we define these two? How do you think we define these two? Okay, I'm going to open up previous work that is done by you guys. This lesson 5, 6P. Okay, in your lesson 5, 6P, okay, is on your bookworm. Okay, remember your bookworm.
Yeah.
See this? Okay, so last time we have this thing called add and add post. Now we have create and another create. See the difference? It's the same action name, but what's the difference? The bracket. Okay, which one refers to book add post? Which one?
Create.
First one or second one?
The first one.
This one.
The book add post, you know.
Second one.
The second one.
One.
See that?
Yeah.
So now instead of book add and book add post, you are having create and another create. But the difference is that here you don't have any parameters in, but here you have your parameters in, which is your model. Okay, that's what you mean by model binding. Okay, to bind your model such that you don't have to type in all these things. Okay, so everything declared in your model. So last time we have, what do we use for validation? We use valid, yes, check if empty. But now what do we change it to?
Model state.
Model state dot is valid. See that? So we don't have to do check if empty really. See that? Can you map? Okay. So yes,
CDD can name yourself or
can name yourself.
Means I can just put C, candidate C, I don't need to put CDD. Right?
Yes, but you must be careful. If you put C here, where else must you put C?
The below one also C.
return.
Yes.
The return.
All the reference here must be the same C. Any other question? Okay, it works similar like here. Remember when you define as ISBN, price, quantity, below same thing. You must do the same reference. So it works the same way. Any other question? So but you need to add new things. So instead of, even though it's the same name, what else is different? What else is different? What's the attribute for the create empty? What attribute did they use? HTTP GET. Okay. Whereas in the one that uses the model, it uses HTTP host. So as you can see, it actually used the model. And now the data cannot be used for insert or update. So now everything is inside model. You don't need to call them individually. Got it? Okay, so you must define your model. Okay, next. So this is defining your form values. So I shown you just now. So in your candidate, this is your candidate model. So all your candidate here, okay, your CDD, right, is also defined here. Okay, and in order for you to use it, you can use it in your view page. Okay, and the name must be the same. Class, take note, same thing, everything must be the same. Same as database. Remember last time we can define our own, right? You can define your own string name, right? But now you have to define it using your database name. It has to be the same as your database name. Any question? Okay, so all these things, same as your database name. Your model and your database all must be the same. Okay? Okay, let's move on. So in order for you to get the values, okay, this is what they do. Okay, again in slide 25. Okay, just like what you guys asked just now, right? Candidate CDD, yes, you need to inject a model here. And then you move on to model state is invalid. So we are using validation of the model. We are validating the whole model. Okay? And we use CDD dot in slide 26. These are the properties of the model. Do you understand the word properties of the model? Where do we get this information from? How to know all this gender, reg number? Where do you get all this from? From the model. So you need to open up your model. So this is your model. Okay, all these reg number name must be the same as the one that you use in your insert statement. Any question at this point? So do you understand the concept of model binding? Okay? Roughly, yeah, need to practice it. So roughly we know that we no longer use iForm collection, we use model instead. Okay? So no more iForm file collection. Now it's all model. Okay? Must define inside model. What's important is this. How about the field name? Where do you get all these field names from? Where do you refer to? View, but the name like REG number, C name, gender, how do you know whether to use C name or customer name? Yes, your database. It has to be the same as your database. So this is things that you need to think of. Okay? So we're going to do the model binding. So let's move on to your worksheet. Okay, so for your worksheet, you've done all your steps. Okay, your answers to question 17 is on the board, so please update accordingly. 18 is also on the board, 19 is also on the board, we discussed this. 20 is also on the board. Okay, now we are looking at question 21. So you guys need to apply 21. So firstly, okay, they ask you to use for a candidate. So let's look at your candidate. I want you guys to open your candidate controller. Can you all open your candidate controller? Yes, open your candidate controller. Kevin, candidate controller. You must understand, people work, so understand, okay?
I try to explain at night.
How many actions can you say?
Should I fake the scene?
How many actions do you say? You sure 5?
Got camera. Got camera.
How many actions do you say? Team 3 says 5. Team 2, how many actions do you say?
4.
Team 2 says 4. Team 4, how many actions do you say? 4. Team 5?
6.
Ryan,
6.
6 is good.
6.
What's that?
The question is, how many actions do you see? Everyone put it on form. Brian, what must you look out for?
For the download.
Okay, so you have 4 actions. What are your actions? Index, display, create, and create. So what's the difference between the two create?
One got the stuff inside.
One got stuff inside, what we call as the parameters. And one is what?
Return the form.
Okay, so what's being defined? What's the C# attribute given there?
Post.
One is post, one is
Get.
get. So that's the two difference. Okay? So if you look at the code, let's look at the code. The first one is index. Okay? So from the index itself, from this line of code, the first one, what do you understand by the first 2 lines of code? Index. What do you understand by these 2 lines of code? The database one. What does it do with database one?
You get the
Get from the SQL.
Is it the first candidate?
No,
Is it
by the
SQL?
name.
Yes, it's an SQL statement.
Select everything.
Select everything. Which keyword tells you it's a select everything? Select star. So basically, we are going to select star, select everything, and then what do we do?
Then we
Then you return the view.
name.
Return the view. So when you talk about return view, this return view LST candidate, what does it do? Where does it go to?
As in you call
We
it the
go
first
to
candidate.
first candidate.
Hmm? This is first candidate. No, it's not first candidate. It's LST.
It's the hell look like one
It's not one ST. It's LST.
That means
Okay, noted. Okay, so it actually get all the candidates. Just like what you all mentioned, the SQL statement, right? Get
Also
all
get
the
the list
candidates.
of all the candidates.
Get all the list of candidates. And then what do you do with that list of candidates?
return.
Return to where?
You show it lah. You show it.
You show where?
The display on.
Where is this located?
Candidate.
Which is the location of the folder?
Index.
Which folder? Yes, I heard the word. Views, then what? LST. Is it, what's the name of the view? Is it first candidate?
First candidate.
Is it the name of the view first candidate?
Yeah.
Wrong.
No, I said no.
It's not index, man.
It is index. But why?
It's index what?
Because it's
Because
I actually got index.
What is it returning? What's that first candidate? What's first? See lah.
This is the list of all the candidates.
List of candidate. It's a list of candidate. It is an object. Okay, it's a list of candidate. It's an object. So you are passing this list of candidate to where?
The index.
To the index. Because here, as you can see, they never mentioned the index to go to, which means you are taking the default index. So we're going to the folder views index dot what? Index dot what? Index dot what? CSHTML. Is it okay? So when we go to this index.cshtml, so in your code you're supposed to go and open that index.cshtml. So when you open up that code, you see things like this. Where is mine?
Next level.
See this? Okay, first line of code. What's this doing? What's happening here on top?
Right.
What's line 1
Maybe
to
jump
4?
past it.
1, 2, 4.
Line 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2,
Oh,
3.
then the one.
That one.
18B one.
18B, what's
Layout.
that? So what's the purpose of that line of code?
Copy the layout of that place.
Okay, copy that layout of that place,
The candidate.
that candidate.
Yeah.
So which folder is it located?
Candidate.
Candidate.
Views candidate.
Is it views candidate?
No.
It is
No, that way.
Finding.
shared folder. Okay? So it's a shared folder. So we already say what? In 18C, there's a shared folder. And the other layout is called underscore candidate. So in the shared folder, you have this underscore candidate layout. So we're going to use that layout for this particular page. And at the same time, what is the model used? Is not the model. Candidate. Where do you get this from?
Then the end model list.
Line number? Line number 5. But from where do they get this from? Where is it passed from?
Layout.
Not layout.
Candidate.
Remember this line of code?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, you get the whole list of the candidate, right? You put it inside the candidate object, okay, which is a list candidate. This is the name of the list candidate, and you actually call your index.cshtml. Okay, this is what you guys tell me, right? So when you go to index.cshtml, we use the layout, which is the common layout candidate, and we actually call this list candidate. Do you see that? Okay, and do you know what does this line of code does? From line 15, 16 onwards. Do you know what it does? From line 16 all the way down to the end. Do you know what it does? What does it do? Line 16 was the word that's used for each what?
Candidate in the model.
In a model. So where is this thing coming from? From your controller here that you pass. Okay? Understand?
Wait, where is it from?
Controller.
Okay?
Controller.
This part okay? So this one will display all your candidates. So first one, index is to display all candidates. It goes to index.cshtml. This part okay?
Yeah.
Next one, display. What does display do?
Display the thing.
Display the thing. But they have something here. What does it do?
Integer ID.
What is integer ID there?
The REG number is it?
REG number of who?
Of the candidate.
Of the candidate. So
What's the website?
have to
Display
be
dash then the number.
correct. So basically, Andrea was referring to this one when we have this line of code.
Wow.
Alex.
See this?
You just want to dig it.
This one. See that? Batch number. So this is the display. You need to pass in the registration number. So again, you will go to your controller, and your controller will get the registration, the candidate. Is that okay? So the rest you should be able to understand. Next one, line 35. Where does it go to?
CDD. Is it CDD?
Is it CDD?
No, no CDD.
It goes to display.
Display.
So what's the location?
Views.
Views.
Candidate then display. Display.cshtml.
Then candidate.
Display. Display.
Display.
.cshtml.
This one you miss out one. Just like me. What did I miss? Candidate. Yeah, because we need to write in the controller. Good. You need your controller and your view. So we're going to go to your display.cshtml, and what do you pass into your display.cshtml? What's the CDD?
The everything.
What's the everything?
Right. They refer everything. The
What's
number.
the input? Okay. But what is the type of the input? What's the CDD? Which is what? What object is this? Of what type? What type is this?
List.
List of what?
The
List of what?
List of names.
List of candidate, yes. Who say that? Thinking. Okay? It's okay? So again, when you open up your display, so you open up your display, this is your display. On top, what's common on top? This part here?
the layout.
Yeah, good. So as you can see, again you see the word model candidate, and you make reference to the model, okay, which you pass in, which is a candidate. This part, you guys okay?
Yeah.
Any question? Can, right? This is similar to previous. So as you can see, the candidate, the index display everything. Whereas display, is it displaying everything? Does the, for display.cs, HTML, do you display all your candidate?
No.
No. Which one do you display?
It's according to the number.
Yes, correct. Which is in your SQL statement. Okay?
Okay.
Next one is create. So the first create is to display your entity form. And the next create, as you can see, they mentioned here, is to get all the data and insert into your database. This part, you guys okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Please take note here. Okay. Just like last year when we run through insert statement. This one is your, what's this name? Where do you get this name from? Database. Okay. And as you can see, the CDD, all the names are the same as your database. Okay? Okay? So the rest is the same as already last time. And here we have two types, temp data and view data. So one is using in line 77. What's the return that we use? Line 77 is return what?
Redirect to it.
Redirect to action. So when it's successful or when it fails?
Successful.
Successful, you redirect to action. Otherwise, you do a return view. Okay? Next. The rest, as you can see, these are all private methods that is being used by this controller, but it is not your action. Any question for your candidate? So whatever that we've discussed, if you were to go to your if you go to the sample that's given to you, okay, so this is your candidate. So this is what page? What's the view page?
Show the
Index.
Index. Okay, so just now we talked about index, right? So display everything, and then this is when you click, where will you go to?
to the person's profile of this.
Yes, Rashida says it, display. Okay, so we go to display, and this is the one that we display based on the number. Alright. So how do we do create? Which one to do create? Sorry? New candidate. Okay. So this is for your worksheet exercise, so you can complete 21. 22, we have discussed part of it, the rest you need to do your own. So let's complete 21 and 22 now.
21D, I don't know. 21D.
Sorry, before that, in authentication and for authorization, right? I'm going to ask you guys to do on your own. Read the notes as given to you. It should be doable. Okay, and then the last few step is pretty much what we've just discussed. Okay, so for those who have done with it, you can continue with authentication and authorization.
Let's go.
Start doing number 21. Your model binding.
Bring
One hungry really. I thought you all had.
It's not you master then.
Who has issues just now with your laptop?
I think credit.
So what's the problem?
I think she redo everything. Why you haven't? I redo everything. That time also I redo everything. Like every week also.
It's actually the one that see here. Is the one that's...
So every single week.
Where got? That time I see her. You see her one.
Yeah, but always see I got problem. You see there got no problem what?
Last week got problem.
I'm asking about system.
I always see her got problem.
Chengwei one working ready, right?
She always do it.
Chengwei, yours okay.
Chengwei.
I can successfully build, but got exclamation mark. Is it normal?
I download the show you. Next section. This thing we are in the nonsense one.
Yes,
This one is supposed to click on the...
Almost 21. Haven't bought me.
Shouldn't be a problem. You have the latest one.
Is it missing or should just
Confirm got one.
Where necessary, please include screenshots. You need to submit your worksheet, so where necessary, please include screenshot. Otherwise, you want to type everything also can.
There's 4. What you got the Sean DD right? You know Sean Holmes. Half daddy, sorry.
Fancy will always be behind it.
Officer you for 21D, 21D. Take helpers.
I don't remember having half day either. Which one is it that you are using?
The candidate index.
Question D.
Oh,
That was
Which tag helper you can use for this URL?
it's from the display one, no?
When your display?
heartless.
Display
Cold blood.
When your display code out. So any tag helper.
Also this one.
How do you get to display?
Page source.
It's based on the REG number.
Yeah, which page is the one that is providing the REG number? So before you go to display, candidate.
No.
Then which
Candidate controller.
So which page leads you to display?
Candidate controller. 920.
CD.
You don't confuse me.
Index.
Everything also
Page.
Oh yeah, got index, yeah, correct.
So from
It's the
index.
A one, right?
Yeah.
It's A
So
one.
we are at
Because they will
index.
show you
So
the.
when your index, he already mentioned index.
They look at line
So
21.
which one will help you? Which tag helper will help you?
The link.
The link.
What link?
A is link.
Okay. But exactly which tag helper? How many do you see there?
Controller action.
You
3.
have 3, right? So but exactly which one will help you to
Controller. Action. Display.
action your route ID? Basically all 3 are your right. Okay, but which one will differentiate which candidate?
The ID.
Which ID?
Root ID.
The route ID, yes.
Where got say?
So you might just write that.
Route.
They already asked what are the tag helpers you can use.
That one is different.
Is it just that?
That means same spelling means the pronunciation.
You look at those, which are the tag helpers? Decide.
Tony. Action. Route ID and the A.
Why not menu? Why menu? You learn
I don't remember we are doing driving.
Feel manual lah.
我很 fast 啊，很 fast 啊。I think half the lesson.
Question 21.
21
done already. I want to see his work.
Yeah, he done already, go and check.
I can see empty spaces.
You ask him one thing, don't worry. One of the questions is
Do all.
you ask him what is layout of this. You ask him what is layout of this.
Ask him buddy 在 helper.
Then stick a face. Face problem.
Next question.
Yeah, we'll start doing that. Oh, so many how to do this.
See right in front of the face. I want
MSC
to on song then I can
MSC
do.
Must on song to do your work.
Yeah, must have motivation.
Question 21 done already.
Yes, I
Any question?
No question.
B. 21. What are the tag helpers you can use for this URL? Have you done that part? What are the tag helpers?
Then the orientation like
fish.
Different answers.
You get
Can you all check with each other? I'll come back and see which one is the correct one. Can? Yes.
Type of the properties but then the photo is what? Because I checked like all the required string, but this one has string, but then the photo one.
Photo one is what just want to ask question. Chingy, do you raise up hand? No. Who you? Who asked question just now? Every time Chingy. No, I was talking to him, so I heard someone say Bessie, then was like, oh wait, then.
You hear from inside, you hear. So you always ask him, hey, help me.
One chain lah. That's why I thought I heard someone.
You never say what.
Okay, from the person.
So can you one time tell me? I help you. Yeah.
I need help. You explain to her.
You ask about car accident, all this, you don't know. The car accident, which car, which one, that one. The bicycle,
If you look at it, what would your top
ticket, man, Changi Airport, all this people. Hey, Friday, right? How many million? Friday, how many million? 9 million. 5 million, right?
Yes.
Charlie?
requires
We go back to
Okay. Yeah. Can?
I don't think so, man. You know Facebook now, I don't know the... I don't know the time for you.
Your answer and his answer different. You checking.
I don't discriminate lah. I don't need business park yeah. The chances of it being a problem.
D answer, right? Same as his, but different from him.
Then what's the more fun?
So D. Yes. I didn't say you're wrong. So I say decide which one is correct.
Today, one thing here, I'll hit at 3. 100K. Actually, I love you.
Yeah, I'm waiting for your answer.
Yes, I'm still thinking.
Good.
But I don't want to hit it first, I move on first.
No, I want to know what's the answer. Yours is 21. Some is 20 minutes.
I don't want to start there first, I just wait.
Wow, love it. Kids, you. You see, I don't give you the keys.
Can I check yours? Do you write?
So it's the one, and then you the fish one, and you do not fish. Ready for that?
I will like shooting just why? Just want to see what you write. Correct. Looks like the whole thing sing the same song.
So long, exam was free. Then come back later.
Then I will see how. So please complete the model binding part first.
Implementing authentication. Read the section strong.
You ask the purpose of using the requirement?
Yes.
So you convey information on the behavior of those candidates that are alleged to be compulsory. Okay, like, copy this.
Copy 马上都就算了，因为 essay 有时候号都会出号。
So
Wait, but why is it eventually?
因为 source string 呢 data type
Yeah, I search it. You open the candidate except for one.
我要看这个，
string double integer
Which table?
No, the one that has required.
这我要记得你到底都是
Oh, required.
No, some.
哦呀 double string
你看人家不懂哎，你是给我那个鱼的人，我是给他那个一张比例的人。
哇哇 hash is the hash really you don't need that
Really got it before.
yeah we don't before last year
This one.
yeah hash lah I realized that hash here we got some type of cause one point I felt stuck no you see image sure left side also you where is it
You ask your friend what you
no I thought they said they will tell me
Oh, they tell you. Why they tell five?
yeah I thought they shift my
Because you don't have.
then I realized right
What?
you just know I do
这种
that's really not bad really long then very short
It's more Brazilian wax.
yes
what?
How do you feel?
okay you buy
一定要玩游戏。
nothing no go
Wood, then whether swear to God.
I started.
Nothing strong. Nothing more strong.
stay what nothing like
Because it's very easy and very
I know what I do.
I need the answers on the board. First
The only one
That's what boxing.
masking for the mask.
you mean for army got black one
Yeah.
they my first year always do it
You sure?
my first year is something great just use the black one
Please read the 21B,
which one right
21A.
which one tell me which one right choose the easiest everything difficult go rush 21D go there if I tell you
That's right. Originally smart. Oh yeah.
Thank you, Chuching. Yes, you need to put capital.
Ice cream.
You write already lah. You write something else.
Next one is
22C faster. 22C.
tell me what to write
String. Don't tell you don't want to spell string. You write Chinese lah.
加一肉吗？ice cream 咯。
Wait, sorry, next, ID. Wrong lah.
This part you change.
Cannot blame him. Just now also he did wrong.
I understand. How you know it's like because it's open the event.
Team 4, Team 5.
Yeah, your hair. You look at my hair.
You require.
Team 4.
You pour water until you grow like flower. Shopping online.
Okay, I'll go see what project they do.
Four is for Loki.
The cook and the mixer.
Hey, stop lah.
First is the name Fabi.
What do you mean?
Can you see the?
Yeah, I know.
Can you see the?
Why cannot?
Alcoholic website.
Alcoholic.
Oh, you're so childish.
It doesn't mean alcohol.
24 this year.
I can't afford it.
You already know that.
You are wait. He's still watching the
Means that the
So, confirm already ah, Kevin.
right.
wait, but it's not going to be off the voice.
Why am I writing my own words?
It's your own words, right?
Yeah, so don't need like this.
Okay, let's look at what you've written. So, we are looking at question, okay, 21A. It's not on the board. 21A, what's your answer?
5.
5. How you know 5?
Open the page. Five.
Open the page. Okay, and you will see 5 names. Fine. 21B. Let's hear from team 4. 21B. What are the properties of Alex?
A lot.
You are in again, okay. Gender, height, birthday, race, parents. Did he miss anything, class?
No.
No. Okay. Next. 21C. What's the URL? I need the URL. I just need the controller and action. Team 3. Let's see my team 3. Yes, Sarah? Candidate and what else? Then what else?
103.
So you need slash candidate, then what? Slash display, then slash 103. Okay? So for question 21C, right? So you need slash, the first one is your candidate, which is your, what's this candidate? Controller, followed by the action, which is display, that's what you guys say, and what's the number?
103.
Why 103?
Because it's the
ID.
What?
What's the candidate name? Yes, Alex. Okay?
Korean.
Question 21D. Team 1. Where do you get these answers from? Agak-agak lah. What agak-agak dia? Anyone can help them? Besides agak-agak dia? Where to get this?
Index CSHTML.
Index CSHTML. Why?
Because it's they will show you the display one.
The display one. Do you understand what Andre
The
is
line
saying?
21, the line 21.
So everyone open index.cshtml. Everyone look at which line?
21.
21. Do you understand that line of code? You see that? That one will lead you to which page?
That page.
What page? What's the name? Display. So, and you actually use this tag helper in order for you to go to your display page. Okay? And your route ID is what number to use? 103. Then what's your action? Display. And then followed by your controller, ASP controller, which is, so these two are linked together. Okay? Yes. Next one, 21D done, right? 21E, how do you create a new candidate?
Click on the button.
Click on the button, but that button must have a link, right? What's the name of the link? Candidate/create. Thank you. So your controller is candidate and your action is F. What are the fields you need to input in order to create a new candidate? Team 2. Team 2. What are the fields? 21F.
Name, height, birthday,
And photo. Photo, what do you need to do for photo?
Must upload.
Must upload. Okay. G. Team 1. What do you see?
The grab RG number is not required.
It's required. So you see a whole list of what?
Everything is right. Required.
So everything that is okay, fine. Let's move on to question 22. 22A. What is the C# attribute used in this file? Is required. Okay, this file okay?
Yes.
And it has to be capital. Case sensitive. It has to be capital letter. It should be written this way. Okay. Next, what is the data type? What is the purpose? Team 4. What's the purpose? What's the purpose? Okay, what?
Mandatory.
Mandatory. So every time you have required, it means what?
Must be when you create the.
Cannot be empty.
So that particular field must be filled up. Fine. Let's move on. B. C. What's the data type of those properties? String. Where is written string?
Below the fields with the required, is it public string something?
Okay, so every time you see the word required, you notice that below it, you'll be using public string. Give an example, which line of code, which page?
Candidate.cs.
Candidate.cs and which line of code?
12.
Line 12, any more?
15.
15,
22.
22, see that? Okay, okay. So,
See what?
now, 23. You all read the part on the authentication? Got it. So please read. So what happened here is that for question 24, which table in the database store the user details and password? Which table is it? Team 5, read out the answer. Wait.
What?
Not Chengwei, not Brian, sorry.
Ayo.
What's the table name? Travel user. What is the column name that store password? Which column store the password? So she said that the database store password in this table called travel user. And which column is it? User, is it user password? It's user PW. Okay? So it's using user PW. And can you see the password? What happened to the password? Change is basically hash part. Yes, the word used is hash part. Okay? So that part is just to introduce to you on the hash part part. Then on 26 for you to try on your own. Okay, on whether you can log in or not. Let's move on to question 27. So for question 27, they say refer to the problem statement, right? So which part of the problem statement? Question 27. Which one? Which one the problem statement? The table. Okay. So you need to look at that table and you need to complete that part. Okay, and put it inside your worksheet. 28. So the model defined is using model binding. This is where you practice your model binding part, okay? And then 29 is again on your model. And 30 is your creation. Where can you refer to for your reference? This is on travel, so where to refer to for reference? Candidate. Any question? No?
Today I win it.
Okay, so we see you guys later at now it's 12:40. So later come back about what time? What time you coming back? 2 what? 2 p.m. Okay.
2:45.
So what do you need to do when you come back? What's your everything? You want to see everything. What as much as possible. Have you done the first few parts? Yes, you only left with the second part, which is on the travel. Okay? So and the
So just go on the
authentication.
task.
Yes. Basically, how many tasks are you supposed to complete?
Go
How many tasks?
2C, 2D, 2E, 2F, 2G, 2H.
Yeah, basically
3, 4, 5.
5, right? Correct. The one is the first one. Okay? So you have your task to help you and guide you. So complete those tasks. When you come back, we will discuss the rest. Okay, let's go for break after you complete over.
Break for 3.
Time.